So, hello everyone. It is
Hello. Hi.
noon time in Central Europe, in Copenhagen, Paris, and Rome, and we are ready for the next. This is CBN Science. CBN stands for Creative Business Network, and we've been around since 2012, helping startups from the cultural and creative industries to grow, to empower them to come up with great solutions that we all need. And today we will be talking about solutions in the field of learning, education, and how you can play yourself to learn something. People are still entering through the waiting room, so I'm doing a classical sports activity. If you are a swimmer, you know sometimes you need to thread water. You need to just stay put in one place by moving your feet and arms in circles. That's what I'm doing right now, just to make sure that everyone is getting into the webinar. We have a few more people coming in here, and we have a great hour in front of us, 59 minutes on CBN Science, where we will end with Bildits. We will end with Bildits, which is a startup that participated in Creative Business Cup, the cup that the network organizes. Yeah, Eduardo is showing it. It's where you learn to build houses, and it's not like with Lego where you get all the pieces ready made. You actually have to mold to make the different the tiles ready, and you have to paint it, etc. You have to really learn how to construct a house from the very beginning, and it's quite messy, and it's quite wonderful that it's not an app or digital. I do like all the conveniences and all the great things that the technologies are providing us, but in this case, it's quite messy. And I remember in 2017, during the global finals, where Lebanon and Bildits participated, from the jury room, there was one jury member who said, "This is a messy thing, and parents don't want that." And I have 3 sets for Bildits at home, and my daughter and I are halfway through the second one. And it is messy, but it's fun. It's great fun. And measuring and making sure that the mold, the cement has the right quantities, etc. But before we get to, I can see we still have people in the waiting room. They're all getting in there. Before we get to Bildits at the end of the session, we will learn more about from the scientific side on gamification and Bildits and pedagogy and Bildits. So we have asked two scientists, 2 researchers, academics on the field to tell us more about their take on it. And we have these, this is CBN, I should say it with a deeper voice, this is CBN, where you can tune in and hear these webinars. You can find them also online. We have been doing webinars all through 2020, like most of us, like most of you guys also have. And but you can also find great stories online. You can go to thisis.cbn.com. That's where our network takes place, and you can see stories from all over the world. We're connected to over 80 countries with national partners. Some of you guys are here. That's great. And this is CBN Science, is where we take the scientific look at the culture and creative industries, because it's all evidence-based. Of course, what we do, it's not just a feeling that something is right. We're showing the world that the creative culture and creative industries matter, and we need to help the startups in this field to grow. And that's why we are doing sessions like this. So enough from me. I should let Eduardo take over from now. I want to tell all of you that have your cameras turned on. It's not that cool, actually, because we can't see what you're doing. And it's actually also better for the speakers so they can see all of you. So in gallery view, Jana, Michael, Maysan, Joanna, Maysam, Elsa, Jana, etc. Turn on your cameras, but turn off the microphone, because even birds chirping in the background we can hear. Okay? Eduardo, it's all yours.
Oh, welcome.
It's a real pleasure to meet you again for this CBN Science and this Play and Learn session with Bildits. So we asked Fabio and Jan to talk about gamification and pedagogy and to assess Bildits. And first of all, for those of you who do not know Bildits yet, we want to show you a very short video so that you can see how you can teach your kids and how you can learn yourself as an adult to build a house in miniature with your own hands. So I share my screen and I show you a video. Here is Bildits.
Bildits is a construction toy where you can build your own house.
Just like a real life.
But little.
First, you mix the cement. Then you build the walls with small bricks. And then you paint it any way you like it.
Et voila!
You can design and build any house you want.
The house of your dreams!
Et voila! So, Rael and Rael, just show up.
Show your hands.
Show your hands. We would like to see you.
Hi, Eduardo.
Here they are. Okay. So now I would like to introduce our first guest, Fabio Viola. Fabio is an expert in gamification. He's a game design teacher at NABA in Milan, Nuova Accademia delle Arti, and at IED, the International Center for Design in Milan, as well as other cultural institutions in Italy. We have asked Fabio to explain what gamification is and how this paradigm can be used to describe how Bildits work. And then we will assess Bildits also in terms of pedagogy with Jans. But first, let's talk about gamification, Fabio, and welcome to you both guys.
Thanks a lot.
The floor is yours, Fabio, and you can share your slides, but yeah, let me know.
Thanks for inviting me. Pleasure to be here with you. And my starting sentence is one from Benjamin Franklin. He said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I might remember, involve me and I learn." So this is the practical base when we talk about transfer information, the ability to recall that information, the ability to learn faster. And this is what Bildits is trying to do. I mean, it's not enough a vertical knowledge transferred by the teacher to the scholar, but we need, especially in the 21st century, to involve, to engage people with physical instruments, with digital instruments, and how we are going to see with the phygital approach. Let me share just few slides, I promise. Okay, you should. Okay, I think I'm sharing my screen. Basically, people like me and probably everyone, at least potentially, is a game designer. What I mean is the game designer, or we can call it gamification designer, or someone call it engagement designer. What he does, he tried to use divergent creativity to solve a problem. For example, let's imagine this kind of problem. We have 100 grams of broccoli to put in the mouth of our children. On my left side, this is the traditional approach, okay? This is not an engaging approach. If the same amount of 100 grams of broccoli, we encapsulate it in metaphors, in forms, in colors, in interactive storytelling, the mouse is flying into your mouth, probably we get, at least in the short term, and I repeat, in the short term, behavior change. This is basically what the game designer tried to do, facing and handling the ordinary life. So the first lesson I learned working in companies like Electronic Arts, Vivendi Games, etc., is we have to look towards the fun. It's the fun theory, what is called the fun theory. When we design a layer of fun on top of an ordinary action, we take as a short-term change behavior. I wanna share with you just one video. Probably you know this project is the fun theory made by Volkswagen in the North Europe years ago. They got an amount, a great reaction from the press, from the user, dozens of millions of views, and they really co-created something that has been deployed all over the world. For example, the piano stairs has been assembled even here in Italy, in Milano, and in multiple cities across the world. Okay, just 1 second. Let me move on YouTube and more than 20 million people use let me avoid the advertising. Sorry. Okay. Let's hope it works. Okay, yeah. People, of course, didn't know to be recorded. So what? Just adding a small and easy layer of fun, we get 66% people using more the traditional stair compared to the electrical one. But fun alone it's not enough. When we design video games or other kind of gamification experience with a medium or long-term purpose, we have to use a wide range of human emotion. If you think about video game, it's an alternance between several emotions. Sometimes we are proud about what we achieved. Sometimes we are frustrated because we can't jump enough from a platform to another one. Sometimes we cooperate. Sometimes we use competition. Sometimes we are surprised for the new aesthetics in the landscape, etc., etc., etc. More we are good in creating a different range of human emotion, more the game, more the experience will be playful, and more we are going to achieve a long-term behavior change. This is very, very, very important. So when we talk about gamification, at least in my opinion, it means designing experiences, physical or digital, it doesn't matter, engaging and memorable, after borrowing tools and logic from the world of gaming. They recognize each other because they offer space for action and interaction to the public, and the system has to react. There are 3 qualities and 3 mandatory steps when we create any kind of playful experience. I mean, people have to act inside the system. or with other people, people have to start interact each other, and the system, digital or physical, has to get back a reaction, what we call real-time feedback. When we have these three options all in the same place, we are creating gamification experiences. At that point, we achieve the pillar of gamification, transferring and moving from the mere idea of spectator to the spectator. Okay, what I mean, people are not more passive inside the system, and people can take choices, taking decisions, and influence and alter the experience. Sometimes we achieve the status of what I call spectator, because people are co-creating with us. What I say usually is, more people interact inside my system, and more I can sit on the couch just watching people altering what I started, more I am happy, more I achieve my result. This is the great challenge, actually, in every kind of system, not only in the game design. Because what is a game, basically? It's a series of meaningful choices. And the word meaningful is very, very, very important. I mean, it's not just important to make people taking actions. For example, my house is red or blue. Okay, it's already a choice, but it's not a meaningful choice. I kill you or I save you, it's a meaningful choice, because people have to think about their choice, change the experience completely, and even the ending. So this is very, very important when we create gamification kind of experience. And this is what I call story doing. One of the pillars of gamification is moving over the idea of mere storytelling towards an idea of story doing. People have to act inside the system. People have to take decision. People have to speak in first person. If you listen a gamer in the act of playing, he speaks in first person. I saved the princess. He doesn't talk in third person. Okay, this is what happened when you read a book, when you go to the cinema, but this is not what happened inside the video game. And this is the magic of gamification, bringing people to speak in first person. When people speak in first person, probably he considers himself completely immersed in the environment. He's protagonist, and this is what I call the 3P.
3P. Fabio, may I ask you a question? What about speaking in the first person plural? Because I think it's what can be difficult with gamification is that we make meaningful choices. The gamification often makes us more individualistic, and it drives us down a path that I save the princess, not that we save the country or the city or from pollution. Do you have good examples of gamification where actually the we becomes more important than the I?
Yeah. I mean, what's important is we achieve the first person. I mean, singular or plural, it's up to the kind of project. But for me, it's important we stop to talk in third person. I mean, people just as passive subject of an experience. When you use I or we and not she, he, it, etc., we are achieving a great power as game designer, and we can move people singularly or collectively towards goals. I mean, commercial, social, etc. It's up to the sector in which we apply the gamification. I realized several kinds of this project, and it can happen that this project becomes successful thanks to this kind of approach. Last two things, I mean, just overall ideas. In gamification is very, very important what I call engagement loop. I mean, working on place and post experience. Usually in every environment, from school to work, to commercial, to cultural, to green, etc., we focus on on-place experiences, what people do inside my app, during that timing, inside my place, etc., etc. Of course, it's very, very important, but it's very important even to concentrate our attention on pre and post. Before people entering my space, my time, my website, etc., and post after people entered my place. We should focus 33% of important in budget and human resources on pre, 33 on place, 33 on post. But actually it doesn't happen. But if I don't work properly on pre and post, we can achieve a good on place. And that's why, for example, it's very, very important what actually is called phygital kind of experiences. I think a direction for the project Bildits could be combine the great opportunities is already achieving with the physical part with an extension pre and post, probably even based on digital. The last thing I learned in these years is focusing on player's journey. Usually we focus on personas, on target, etc., etc. Everyone call it in a different way, okay? And it's perfect. But actually, if we are moving on the 3P concept, 3P concept are protagonism, personalization, and participation. We have to focus on, for example, on Fabio, splitting Fabio in 4 different Fabios. Fabio not user needs different things compared to Fabio new user, compared to Fabio regular users, compared to Fabio became veteran.
Well, Fabio, now I'm really curious about what you saw in Bildits and how did you experience their model. And of course, we would also like to hear from the participants to this webinar, their feelings and their impressions about gamification and the idea of Bildits.
In Bildits, I see a lot of potential because we are even more focusing on digital in the last years, and we are forgetting a physical approach and a sensorial approach. A synesthetic kind of approach is very, very, very important because we learn through the senses. Basically, I'm not a teacher, of course, I'm just a game designer, so I don't want to enter in something, it's not my, but in project I've been involved, when we combine physical with digital, everyone has specific skills, specific outcome, output, etc. We got the best. And of course, I didn't play, of course, Bildits. I check it online, of course, so I can talk about what I've seen online. They are doing a great work, especially in the first 2-3 steps of player's journey. Of course, probably there is something can be done on the veteran side. I mean, why I should use repeat after months, after years. So, but it needs other things, status, exclusivity, influencing the community, etc., 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 etc.
This is a very question for our friends from Lebanon at the end of the meeting. Is there any question from all of you participants about gamification? I'm very curious because I noticed that there are very skilled persons here with us today. Feel free to the floor and write your questions.
But if you guys are too shy, then yeah, write the questions in the chat and we'll take them as we go along, because we also have to make sure that we have time enough for our next speaker, Jan Beckmans. Do you want to make the introduction, Eduardo?
Yes.
Thank you, Fabio.
And thanks, Fabio. So while we wait for more questions and your participation, Jan, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know that you met this before today. You met them a few years ago when these two crazy great engineers from Lebanon were drafting their project, and you met them because you've been working for the UN and similar institutions, education systems worldwide, which is so a great challenge because playing still from reach. So welcome, and I would like to ask you to explain what is pedagogy in terms of learning through play, them, and what you see on them now. The floor is yours, and you can share your slides, of course.
Okay, thank you, Eduardo. Can everybody hear me? If you can, just raise your hand. Okay, great. Well, I'm Jan Bergvens. I'm an education specialist and curriculum expert. Now living and working in Amsterdam, but in 2016 in Lebanon, where I met the people of Bildits. It was a pleasure back then to provide input and insight during an accelerator meeting on education startups. And it is a pleasure to support again today. Before we start, I would like to ask each one of you to find something in your immediate surroundings where you are now that you would need if you would want to build a house. So look around. You have about 45 seconds to find something that you need if you want to build a house, and show it to us on screen. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. The short exercise shows us that we have different things in mind when we think about building a house and what you would need. The collection of tools that we gathered right now, only in less than a minute, could be a wonderful starting point of a learning activity. It also shows the variety of what we thought of, and also what stage of the process you thought of. Is it about designing? You might need a pencil. If you think about real construction, maybe you need water to make the cement. People who have the Build It kit got it from there. So, and what it also does, it shows what our hobbies or interests are, because most of the things that you use for your hobbies or your interest or what you're interested in is usually right aside you, where you work, where you study, where you learn. And that influences the interpretation of any assignment, and also the assignment that I gave right now, the selection of a tool for building. So it tells us something about the person as well. I was asked to show some pedagogical notions that I find interesting in the Build It education project. About 4 years ago, when I met the people from Bildits, I showed them this slide, or this picture, I should say, from the work of Joyce and Showers. If you can see it, raise your hand, then I know that it's working. Yeah, okay. It is really necessary that we let learners not only study something, but also let them do something. Education, as we know it in schools, in classrooms, is often mainly theoretical. Practical application of knowledge, in many cases, is only imaginative. And if it is physically practical, it is often very limited. While we know of the work of Joyce and Showers that consecutive steps in application really boost the attainment of knowledge and skills. You can see that from the left side to the right side, that there is an element introduced with every step of learning. So if you only give theory, only 5% of the knowledge will be retained. If you add practice in a safe environment, so not yet in the in real life, but in a setup, then attainment is higher. If you add testing it out in real life, attainment of knowledge and skills is even higher. And if you add mentoring or coaching, attainment might rise to 95%. So what we usually see in schools and classrooms is only the left side of what we see in this picture, while most of the learning and attainment of learning is on the right-hand side of the figure. So that's important for us today. Why is it important? Because learners will be able to apply more of the acquired knowledge if they practice with the content. It is also important for us to really understand this, because if we want to give Bildits a place in education, teachers need to work with it in their classrooms. And they will only feel comfortable doing so if they have practiced it first in a safe environment, then tested it in their classrooms. But when we add coaching and mentoring support, then they will keep on doing that over consecutive years. If we forget the last step, the chance that they will be using this new material and these new activities is diminishing rapidly. So adding coaching and mentoring is key to really introduce something not only for one time, but over the following years.
Oh, yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think Mohammed has a question for you, because he raised his hand.
Yeah.
Mohammed, can you hear us? Okay, let's go ahead and see if there's a question coming. Sorry.
Okay. So what we are talking about then is feeling secure to really introduce something new, but also to stay motivated and use it. And motivation is also important in our classrooms. And I have another picture from Dirk van der Wulp, a Dutch educationalist. And that is this picture. Okay, what we see here on the horizontal line is from children having no autonomy and experiencing external pressure, to the other end, maximal autonomy and no external pressure. And on the vertical axis, we have motivation from being extrinsic, so forced upon you, you could say, towards intrinsic, coming out of yourself. This line here is important. And halfway there is the division between controlled motivation and autonomous motivation. When we talk about gamification or play or free space to learn, then we are at this part of the figure. And what do we see there? There is a purpose that the learner really embraces. It's linked to personal norms and values, and there's an internally desired outcome. On the other hand, on the other side, controlled motivation, there is what we usually do in the classroom: blame, pride, shame. High marks against low marks, and also punishment and rewards. Somebody has his or her microphone open, because I have no kids around me. Okay, thank you. So this is usually what we do in classroom. But this is what motivates children. And that is why Bildits is so interesting, because this is where the kids are actually playing, where the kids can use their imagination, where the kids can try their creativity and be able to make mistakes. Let me go on to the next step. So Bildits tries to inspire students with an approach that is largely based on the upper right part of that figure that I just showed. When I looked into the box, I received the box yesterday. Thank you for sending it to Amsterdam. There is all these materials in it. And there's also a little booklet in it. And that little booklet, this is what kids find very interesting, stuff like this. What can you do with it? And then they find this. And in that little book, there is some things that you can do or how you should do things and how you should not do things. And the good thing about this is that it shows, it doesn't tell you first do this, then do that, then do that, then do that. It only provides the knowledge that is necessary to start building something that the kids can design themselves. And that is very important. It is something else than a recipe that tells you first do this, then do that, then do that, then do that, then do that, killing all creativity. That brings me to my personal opinion of what I usually see in schools when teachers have brilliant ideas, because I can see when you send this into schools, teachers think of, oh, wow, this is great. Yeah, we should do that. Maybe it becomes messy, but I can do a lot with that. And that's where it goes wrong. I can do a lot with that. It is not about what the teacher could do with it. It's what the kids could do with it. And what I usually see in schools all around the world is that teachers have this wonderful idea of a really nice, engaging assignment. Then the teacher starts doing all the preparation work. So where all the creative thinking, where all the problem solving, where all the critical thinking, and where all the creativity goes into. And of that whole trajectory, the last part is left for the students. They can then do the last part of the inspiring process that was there before. And they get a mark for that. So when we send this into schools, it's interesting to think of where's the space for the students. And I'll show you one example, and that's what I'll finish with. And that is a stairs that I found in a school in Finland. Finland is one of the main examples, together with Estonia, on how education should be. The stairs with the numbers on it. Wonderful that you use the environment of the school, every part of the environment of the school, as a place for learning. But then the question is, who thought of putting numbers there? Who put the numbers there? Who designed the numbers? Who put the numbers there? What are the learning activities that the students do on those stairs? Is that all thought through by the teacher? Or could it have been done by the students? That is what I would like to say from a pedagogical perspective on learning, on how you could use Bildits and how you could think about sending Bildits into schools for maximum learning and creativity.
Wow, I would say we should teach teachers to unlearn and to learn from their kids and the students. And this is great, Jan. I think Mohamed has a question. He had a problem with his mic. So Mohamed, can you speak now? Otherwise you can write your question in the chat. And of course, all of you, yeah. No, apparently we cannot hear you. So I invite all of you to write your question in the chat.
We can't hear you, Mohamed. Mohamed, you need to unmute. You're not unmuted. You can also hold down the space key. Try and hold down space, and you. There we go. Go for it, Mohamed.
Hello, everybody. It's really interesting what you are talking about, Bildits. My question is the following: if we can get all this information by mail, if is it possible, or what you are showing us?
You can actually register at thisiscbnet.com if you didn't do that already. And here we will place the PowerPoints and the videos and links. So you can get it all simply by accessing the This is CBNet Science, and there you can find it all. Also, yeah, there's a link right there in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Jan. we are spending a lot of time online, and we are actually here at CBN doing something called the Creative Business Academy, where we teach, we help startups with the business development courses and IPR and all that stuff. But it comes very much like this. Someone is speaking for a couple of minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and there was a Q&A, and that's pretty much it. How can we make sessions like learning, online learning, more rewarding, more, splitting it up into shorter units, more Q&As, more collaborative learning also, where there's no clear answer, but you would have to work together to find the answer. We're really looking for ways to make the learning process much more creative than actually just taking the usual classroom format and then making the digital, making bad worse somehow. Do you have any suggestions, Jan?
Yeah, it is complicated, of course, to make sessions like this about inspiring learning. You can do that by putting a Kahoot in it, for example, that really makes you think. You can also say you can work in breakout rooms and then do the Kahoot. Then there's a certain competition in it. There's also a whiteboard in Zoom where you can collaborate together on a certain assignment. So those are things that can be done. And if I think about simpler solutions for people who are not very comfortable with working with Zoom, is that what we did right now, that I said okay, find something that you need to build a house. Now think for yourself in 4 or 5 minutes, which stages there are from the getting an idea to really build something. Where does this tool actually fit in? Which phase does it fit into? And what should I do before I start using this? And what should I do after I have used this to get to the building of the house? Things like this is what I usually try to do when I do online sessions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we all have different learning styles, and in a classroom, the teacher or the professor or whatever can usually see or feel how the students are doing, if they got it or not. That's more difficult online.
Yes, I think so. But I also think that what usually happens in the classroom is that students have to jump through the same loops. So how much space is there really for students when we meet them in the classroom?
Mm.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
You could also use the environment of where the kid is in to do an assignment with.
Mm. Here I'm thinking about adults, actually, like startups like Bildits, if they have to learn how to access the French market or the Russian market or the Danish market, what kind of, these market access seminars, how do we make it not just the usual talking heads and then a Q&A at the end? But you gave me some good ideas here. Anyone else with questions? Yeah, Munia, Drisi, you have a question. Just unmute and ask your question.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, nice to meet you all. Thank you for the interesting talk. I actually had 2 questions, one for Fabio and one for Jan, if possible.
Excellent.
Okay.
Where are you dialing in from?
I am dialing in from Italy, and
Excellent.
I am working within the education sector. I actually hold a PhD in education policy, currently providing consultancies for a private research company. And I'm highly interested into the gamification. Super. And all the innovative learning processes.
Excellent. Let's hear your question.
Okay, so the question for Fabio, actually, it is a question that both Fabio and Rasmus raised when they were talking about the I versus the we. So I wanted to ask Fabio because, for example, in psychology, they do think that gamification plays actually on some deeper psychological processes in children and even in adults, so that, for example, we portray ourselves as closer to some sort of archetypes, for example, the hero.
The question has to be short, Munia, yes, because
that in itself, just so as to say, for adults, they saw that by definition, most adults play actually socializing games. 80%, I think, of adults play the socializing type of games instead of the killer ones, or the Call of Duty things. I don't know if there are any researches done on children in that case. The second question for Jan is related to the attitudes. I am actually worried about in the field of education, if we transfer learning to become something as beautifully as you described through also games, I'm afraid that we might lose also on the relevance of the semantic side of it. And I see that research is moving towards an emphasis on the importance of language in reinforcing learning. And the fact that children actually talk and this semantic representation actually has some correlates also with memory. So I'm worried whether, by moving to gamification, we will lose the talking, side of it. And in that sense, affects learning. And that's
okay.
It. So much.
So Fabio, you have a quick answer, and Jan, you have a quick answer, because we have to have enough time for the raisin at the end of the sausage here. Bildits. Yeah. Fabio first.
Unmute, Fabio.
Yeah, you need to unmute. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Basically, we use a motivational framework approach when we design playful kind of experiences. What I mean is, it doesn't matter the age, but people are moved from different kind of emotional lives. What I mean is, when guys or girls are younger, we use more imaginative or free kind of play. More people get older, we use a structured kind of play, and this kind of structure change according to the cluster. What I mean is, more people get older, and on average, they prefer cooperation and competition form of play. When people are, for example, at high school, we push more or pure competition, deathmatch kind of experiences, 1 versus 1, etc. But it's just according to the motivation. There are different kind of frameworks we use. Every game designer uses a different one. There is not.
We should also get Jan. Do you have an answer to Munya's question? A quick answer.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Munya. Thank you. About the relevance. How can we ensure that the children do something with what they learn, and also with text? You could ask them to post it on their social media, and then they use different language. They use all different kinds of abbreviations that we as adults have to look up before we really understand the post. But you can also ask them, okay, now that you have posted it on your social media, how would you put this on the school website? So what text do we need there? Or make a vlog, make a video with subtitles for people who cannot hear, can still read. And then you force them to really do something with the language part, and also think about, what did we actually do? How can we write that down? How can we do that in right language?
Great, thank you. And now, sorry for being so abrupt here, but we have about 12 minutes left, and those 12 minutes should be spent in the good company of Bildits from Lebanon. So guys, you participated in Creative Business Cup in 2017. The finals were at the City Hall in Copenhagen, and you came in, I can't remember, sorry, if you were second or third, but you were in the top, you were third, top 3 for sure. China won, Israel came second, if I remember.
No, it was Iceland.
Iceland came second, yes. Oh, yes, with Genki Instruments. Iceland, so it was China, Iceland, and then Lebanon. But the floor is yours, or rather the Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Rasmus. Thanks a lot, Jan and Fabio, for the presentation, and thanks to you for the CBN team, Eduardo, Rasmus, Nazia, and everybody else. So my name is Rayan Barhoush, and we are the co-founders of Bildits. I will share a small presentation. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So throughout our time at school and even in university, we never really had the chance to experiment what we were learning. There was always right or wrong. We couldn't try, we couldn't imagine, we couldn't create. And then we met Jan 4 years ago, and he explained to us the theory of joists and showers that he just showed, which is that we only gain 5% of the information if it's theory, and it goes up to 85 or even 95% after experimentation.
So we gathered a team of 5 friends in order to find a solution for that problem. And the solution was Bildits. Bildits is a construction educational toy where kids will have the ability to build their own house with their own hands, using real, authentic construction material, such as bricks, cement, wood, everything on a smaller scale, on a minimalistic scale. Mini bricks, mini tools, mini windows, mini doors, mini everything. And they will use them in the same way as engineers and architects use them on a real construction site. So they will be mixing and pouring the cement, building masonry walls, and finally painting the house that they already designed. So we will do a small demonstration. If you can put us on large screen, so you can see the a small process of the Bildits construction. Here you have the water and you have the cement. Ryan will be starting by mixing the cement using the mini cute shovel. We're pouring the cement. Okay. As you can see here, we're mixing it. Already prepared a small structure. Here are some columns that are already dry. We have the steel to have real reinforced concrete when we put the cement. And here we're pouring the cement, as you can see. Okay. And after 20 or 30 minutes, the structure will be dry. And we have this structure. As you can see here, we have the slab, we have the column, we have the mini door, the roof structure, and the masonry walls. Ryan will be using the mini trowel to build the masonry wall using the mini cute brick. Okay, and we're placing it in the wall. And after it, at the end, we will be painting the house. And voila, a complete designed painted house, as you can see here. And what's amazing about it is that you can dream and create whatever house you want. Creativity and imagination. But other than being just a toy in a toy store, UNICEF and especially Jan helped us develop a curriculum around this kit. So it can be used as an educational tool in schools to introduce engineering and architecture. But not just that, the curriculum and the kit as well focuses on developing the soft skills that are crucial for the 21st century, such as creativity, imagination, problem-solving skills, divergent thinking, and many soft skills.
We already sold around 6,000 kits in Lebanon, and we already had around 3,000 students registered in the workshops. Right now, we are contacting schools outside of Lebanon, especially in the UAE, and we are optimizing our kits in order to have to be able to mass produce it and scale it to the rest of the world. Our goal is to have the optimized version ready on July, so that we participate in the Toy Fair in Nuremberg, where usually all the deals with the retailers and distributors are done. So hopefully next Christmas, we will be around the world in the toy stores. Next October, we will resume our workshops in Lebanon, hopefully without COVID, and we will start the workshops in the UAE and in countries around Lebanon. Our goal is to have a kit for every field of study, so that kids can really experiment everything they are learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Excellent. Now, let's see here. We have any questions?
I have a question for our friends. Once I asked Ryan and Vael, how can you scale your product? I mean, are you ready to scale and produce much more? And they explained me that it's very simple. So this is first. And second, I think we also asked you, how can I play again with Bildits? So what about experts players with Bildits? So there are two questions, sorry.
So I'll start by the second question about the expert players, how they can build another big house or a gigantic house. Actually, we have by using the same kit, you will have the molds that will be needing to do the structure, like the wooden molds, like you saw previously when Ryan was mixing the cement. These molds can be used several times. So the same thing that what happens in real life. The same mold, the same wooden molds can be used several times. Even the shovel, the trowel, and all the tools can be used several times. But what is crucial to do another house or another big house or a gigantic house is the refills, which are the cement, the bricks, the doors and windows. So for that, you have special kits that are refill kits, where you have only the what do you need exactly to build another house or a bigger house. So that's it. And usually experts or big kids, like 40-year-old kids, like who likes to play and who like to create, they usually take one big kit and a lot of refills so that they can create as much as they want.
And regarding the scaling, we usually follow this approach. So when we want to enter a new market, we first start with the educational institutions. So we provide the kids to the schools, we teach them our training program, and we designed a special training program for trainers. The way we should teach the course, the way the exercises that we give to kids in order to start to create and everything. After that, usually we go to the retail stores and sales are organically converted to retail stores once they reach all the kids in the schools. So usually when we want to scale, we start with the education institutions of a certain country.
Erasmus,
we have a few minutes left for questions here. Mohammed, you are unmuted. Did you have a question or a comment or? I can say that you guys, there is a discount if you are a member of the thisiscbnet.com community. You can go in and find a discount for buying Bildits products. And I'm sure they would appreciate if you share also the experience in building the Bildits products. I can say, as I told you, I got 1.5 way through the elements that I got for Christmas for my 8-year-old daughter. We eventually got a little bit tired of all the molding. We are maybe Dad has to do the molding, and then the more creative process of the coloring, etc., and building up, that will be taken care of by Claire-Marie. If there are no questions, neither in the chat nor Jan Berkens has a question. Go ahead, Jan.
Interesting would be to think of what could be next steps in schools, because you can build houses, but you can also build a community center with a group of students. What would need to happen? What would need to be possible to happen in that community center? Build it and then decide on things that could actually be done inside that building or done inside those rooms. And then you can use the construction as a starting point for many other things where kids could collaborate upon.
Sounds like a good thing also for city planners, that they could actually see how the kids would like a playground to look like, or how something should be constructed. Any last words from Bildits?
Thank you so much for all the participants.
And we love you.
And we love you guys too. I think Eduardo has a comment.
Yeah, first of all, we love you too, guys. And this is a matter for all of you and the community. We have a new meeting, a new appointment a couple of days from now on Thursday, a webinar again on gamification with Erkan Altug from Turkey and Jamie Beaumont from Lego Ventures, and a bunch of great startups pitching with investors. And we can also announce that we will have a new This is CBN Science webinar on Play and Learn on the 11th of February about 21st century skills with Tina Neuvonen from the UNESCO lab. And we are all invited. And of course, you are invited to interact with the community on thisis.cbnet.com. Thanks.
Thank you.
I would like to say thank you to the speakers and also to Bildits. This is CBNet.com. Our community is a bottom-up community, so you're all welcome to post stories and news and links to external websites and whatever you want to do, or write a PhD there. So use the network for as actively as you want. We're about the culture and creative industries, so music, movies, fashion, gaming, etc., not only as industries, but also how they contribute to growth and innovation in other sectors, like in health, in mobility, and in sustainability. So that's what we're all about. It's now 1 o'clock. 1 hour went fast. So thanks a lot, everyone, and have a great day. See you at the next webinar or online.